Chicken and waffles are such a great combination. If you've never tried them, you are in for a treat because I think the savory and the sweetness of the waffles and the syrup and the chicken all come together to create a delicious dish. And I'm going to show you how to do them coming up right now on Cooking with Chef Bryan. Welcome everybody to Cooking with Chef Bryan. I'm excited to show you how to make some chicken and waffles today. They're delicious. I think the combination of all the sweet and the savory and the chicken and everything, I think really comes together in a delightful treat either for breakfast, brunch, lunch, or dinner for that matter. But I'm going to start off showing you how I do my fried chicken. Now, everybody has a way of doing fried chicken, and they think that their way of marinating is the best, or this is a really delicious way to do it. But I think I might be doing something a little bit different than you're used to at home. I've had my chicken, and these are just chicken breasts that I have cut into 3 parts so that they're thinner. They're kind of like more like chicken tenders. That's so they'll fry evenly and quicker in the oil than the whole breast. But I've had them marinating in sour cream. Sour cream, buttermilk, milk, whatever you choose to use, all have lactic acid in them. And though that acid is going to help break down the protein structures of that chicken and tenderize the meat and make them that much more delicious. And so if you've never tried sour cream as a marinade for your chicken like this, you ought to try it. It's delicious, and I think you'll really like the results. But let's go ahead and start with getting our flavors together here really quick too. Now I have about 2 cups of flour in here. You can use a bread flour, you can use an all-purpose flour, however you want to, but I am going to season the flour because I want the seasoning in the coating when you bite on the chicken so that it's going to be delicious that way. So to it, I'm going to use one of my standard all go-to purpose seasonings for chicken, and it's a Montreal chicken seasoning. I really like Montreal chicken seasoning because it just has all the spices in it. It already has the onion powder, it has the garlic powder, it has the parsley, and it has this and garlic and that and all that kind of good stuff. So I just use it in place of having to get out all of these different types of seasonings and add into it. It's already got it all into it. Also, I want to add into it here some black pepper. And one thing you may not add into your coatings, baking powder. Baking powder is a leavening agent, and so what it's going to do is actually lift and cause the coating to become lighter and fluffier. And so we're going to put about a tablespoon or so of baking powder in there. And it's just one of those things that I like to put into it to add a little variation to my fried chicken. And if you haven't tried baking powder, you should try that too. So it's a delicious way to put different variations into a classic fried chicken dish. Now I'm just going to take this, shake that all together so it's mixed up. It's just a resealable bag. You can use the resealable bag to do it. And now that we have our flavors all ready to go, I have the oil heated up, so we're going to be working on that. Let's go ahead and start with the eggs here. Now I have 3 eggs or so, and they're in with some milk. I've added some milk to it, kind of like I used to make when I was growing up and I was taught how to do French toast. So this is how I would make French toast. But I do like to thin it out just a little bit with some milk. There we go, and just make sure it's all mixed together. Now this I use as a binder for the coating on the chicken itself. So I have the chicken in the sour cream, we have our eggs and milk, and then we have the flour mixture that has the seasonings in it. Now I gotta tell you, Grandma made the best fried chicken in the world, hands down. So any of you out there watching it, no, my grandma made the best fried chicken ever. And what she used to do, and I would not recommend it anymore, is after she got done using this, if she didn't use it all, she would put it into the freezer and just keep it in the freezer. Pull it out the next time when she made fried chicken and just coat it. Never got sick from Grandma's fried chicken growing up or into my adulthood. However, food safety wise, I wouldn't recommend actually refreezing this or reusing the dry mixture. So what I do is I use less flour in here and seasoning than normally. So you could do however you wanted to in there, but I'd recommend discarding it and then building a new flavoring patch when you do some more fried chicken. Now I'm just going to use some gloves here when we're doing this so that I can keep away on the mess here of the fried chicken. And I'm going to take the chicken that's been in the sour cream itself. This is actually a sour cream and chive. So you can buy that right in the store, sour cream and chive. I'm going to put the sour cream and the marinated chicken pieces right in there. Then after I've dipped them in the flour, they're going to go into the egg mixture. And then I'm going to dip them again so that they're double dipped. This is a good way to double dip. Don't double dip if you're doing other things, but this is a good way if you're going to double dip. And you can see how nice and coated that chicken is here. And so this is just how I'm going to do it. And the reason why I like to use a big bag like this is you literally can put all of these in here and get them all nice and coated with the flour. Then they're going to go into the egg, and then they're going to go back into the flour so that they have that nice mixture on there. Now this here you would throw completely away because it has raw chicken juice in it. You clean that out. I'm just going to rinse that off of my glove. There we go. And then I'm just going to take my little bag here, seal it up, shake it up. I'll dip them in the egg, coat them in the flour again, and then they're going to go in the fryer for about 10 minutes or until they are fully cooked to 165 degrees inside. So I'll keep working on this. When we come back, of course, I'm going to show you how to put together the waffles. This is going to be a great meal. Can't wait. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
As summer comes into full swing, it's time to fire up the grill and treat your family to a special outdoor meal featuring everyone's favorite Klondike brand potatoes. Enjoy preparing one of our many chef-inspired recipes from the web, or create your own backyard culinary masterpiece using varieties from the full line of Klondike potatoes. Visit KlondikeBrands.com today for hundreds of recipe ideas and make your summers sizzle with Klondike Brands.
Welcome back to the kitchen, everybody. We're working on some fried chicken and waffles. It's a delicious idea for dinner, and it's really fairly easy. So the chicken is already in the frying oil. I put it in there, it's frying up there, and I wanted to just remind you that if it begins to brown too fast before it's done, of course, always an Insta-read thermometer so you can tell immediately if it's cooked or not. But if it is browning up a little too fast, turn the oil down, because all that's happening is it's too hot. So the coating is browning too quickly. So just turn it down so it doesn't brown quite so quickly, and it'll be perfect. So I had to turn mine down just a little bit. I'm at about 330 degrees in here just frying it, and they're fairly close to being done. Another 5 minutes and they'll all be done. But how easy is it to make waffle batter from scratch? You know, I see people who absolutely freak out because they don't have a mix to make pancakes and waffles. Psh, that's all right. They're convenient, but they're very easy to actually make on their own. And so what I have in here is just some milk, and to the milk here we're gonna build up a delicious waffle batter that's so easy. So to it I'm going to add some eggs. Eggs are going to be the binder in here, so that's going to be very easy. I have a waffle iron that's heating up here, and let's just add those eggs into there. Now also to this we're going to add some oil. I actually like to use an olive oil in my waffle mix. So we're going to add some oil into it. A little bit of sugar is going to go into there. Also, let me grab the salt because we're going to put some salt into here as well. Okay, now that we have the salt, let's add in some salt. It'll be just about a teaspoon in there. Adjust for your diet if you need to. A little salt goes a long way, remember that. So the chicken is looking delicious here. It is almost finished. Yum. I love fried chicken. I have to say it's probably one of my very most, when people ask me what my favorite food is I love fried chicken. Of course, I like a lot of foods, but I do really like some fried chicken. So now that we have the oil, we have the eggs, we have some sugar into there, we have our salt, just kind of mix that around, combined in those eggs in there. So very simple. And now we have to add in our dry ingredients, so flour and our leavening agent. So the leavening agent in this, of course, is going to be baking powder, but what I'm going to do is to add the baking powder in here after I have some flour. So I like to, when I'll buy flour by like 50-pound bags, but then I'll transfer a lot of it into these smaller bags like this so that I can use it easily in the kitchen. So I'm going to add some flour in here, and I've done this so many times. I'm not afraid of just dumping flour into there because it's just a batter, and if I need to, I can add a little more liquid to it if it's a little too thick. So to this now we're going to add just about a tablespoon or so of our baking powder to make sure we have our nice, light, fluffy waffles. And then we're just going to stir this around. I actually will make this many times right in my blender and just blend it in the blender. It is easy, it gets all the lumps out, but I wanted you to be sure to see that you don't need a blender or anything fancy to mix this up. And so waffles and pancake batter is actually really easy to do. Our chicken looks done here, so I'm going to just remove that out and just let that sit up there. Let's grab a whisk so we can whisk that together and hold it, get all those little flour lumps out of there. So that's why I like to do it in the blender a lot of times, is because it has the lumps in there and it'll just blend them right out, but a whisk does it great. So we're just gonna whisk that up. And those lumps are coming out nicely on there. And honestly, that's it. I mean, that's a pancake or a waffle batter. It's just that easy to put together. Now, yes, I know it's convenient to have those mixes together. However, how easy was that to just put the milk, the eggs, the oil, some sugar, a little salt, a little baking powder, some flour in there to bring it all together. And this is about the consistency that I like my batter in there. And so you can make it, if you want it a little thicker, you can add more flour back into it. Or if you like it thinner, you can add some more milk into it to thin it out just a little bit. So as far as that, let's grab a measuring scoop here. I think another reason why I like to do them in the blender itself, because then I have a carafe that I can pour directly from and I don't have to scoop the batter into it. But we'll do it this way so that we can so I can show you here. So the batter's done. I have my vegetable spray. I have a waffle iron that's good and hot. You see the smoke coming out of that. I'm going to give that a nice little spray with some vegetable spray. I think one of the worst things, let me slide that over so you can see that a little bit better. I think one of the worst and most frustrating things is the fact that it sticks sometimes. After you go to all this effort to get this all cooked and nice and everything, then it sticks. Oh, that's why vegetable spray is so important. So I'm going to add this right into there. And the way that I tell how much batter goes in there is the spread of the waffle batter itself. And so just going to kind of help that around. I can see that that's beginning to come to the edges. It'll fill out nicely on that now. And we'll just fold that over. This particular waffle iron, it folds just like that. And then we'll get these going here. Now I have a great syrup that I'm going to show you how to put together. I'm going to use some mangoes in it. It's kind of a fruity syrup, but it's going to be delicious with these chicken and waffles. So don't go away. We're going to keep working on some syrup.
It's no secret, frozen rolls are fresher than bakery rolls. You see, bakery rolls are made in commercial bakeries. Then they sit all day in stores. Some even contain preservatives because rolls begin to stale immediately. By the time you eat your roll, it could already be days old. Rhodes Bake and Serve is found in your grocer's freezer. Simply take Rhodes frozen roll dough home and let it thaw and rise in a pan. Bake Rhodes rolls in your own oven. Rhodes Bake and Serve, hot and fresh, right out of your oven.
Welcome back, everybody. We're working on some really yummy chicken and waffles here. I have a waffle that we made earlier here. It's done, it's already cooked, and I took it out of the waffle iron. It's on the plate ready for the chicken. So I'll just leave that there for now. The chicken is already fried, but I've got a little secret tip on that chicken that we're going to talk about here in just a second. But first I want to start with the syrup, and we're making a mango syrup, so a fruit syrup. Now this is very easy. So I've taken 2 cups basically of a frozen mango, 2 cups of water in here, pureed it all together. And so what I'm going to do is create a simple syrup. So simple syrups are equal parts sugar and liquid. So I'm going to add 2 cups of sugar, and I'm going to add the rest of that right into there. There we go. And then I'm going to add our pureed mango into there, which is basically equal parts of mango and water. So into there, that's going to go. I'm going to mix that all together. We're going to get that turned on, and we'll let that come up to a boil so that, of course, all of the sugar dissolves. So there's a thing with this, you know, I have a lot of people that'll say, oh, I want to put this and I want to put that in, that's great. If you want to do that, and what I'm referring to really is like vanilla or cinnamon or something like that, you can do that. I'm not a fan of it. It's just me. So mine is kind of the purest version of it. So I'm just going to stir in the sugar, the mango puree, which is equal parts of frozen mango and water that I just pureed in the blender. And now I'm just going to bring this up to a boil. Now, of course, you can do like I would do and just probably use Mrs. Butterworth's. I love Mrs. Butterworth's. I've told you stories about Mrs. Butterworth's in the past, but you could use that, or you could use this yummy fruit. And you could do the same concept with any type of fruit. So if you buy frozen blueberries or frozen blackberries or raspberries, etc., add equal parts water, equal parts of the frozen fruit, puree it together, and then you're going to add, once again, equal parts of sugar. So if you're doing 2 cups of everything, 2 cups of sugar. So 2 cups fruit, 2 cups water, 2 cups sugar into the pan, and it's going to bring it up to a boil so that that sugar dissolves. And just let it boil for a couple of minutes so that it kind of reduces and becomes syrupy in there. So very simple to do and very easy to put together. Syrups are really easy to make, and if you happen to like vanilla or cinnamon or nutmeg or clove or I don't know, whatever you want to put in there, you could put in there, but that's the simplest form of a delicious fruit syrup. Syrup is going. Waffle is done. The chicken is cooked, but the chicken isn't nice and crispy. And here is the secret, the tip to getting nice crispy fried chicken, is once it is cooked, just like this, let it rest till it cools down a little bit. Turn the oil up. So I've turned it up now to about 370, 375 degrees. It was at about 330 degrees cooking the chicken. And so that's what I said earlier, is you can adjust the temperature so that it doesn't cook quite as fast and the coating doesn't get so brown before the chicken's done. But by turning it up like this and then adding it in basically for a second fry, you're going to really crisp up that coating that's on there. And that's what we want it to do. So once we get that in there, let's go ahead and just lower that down into there. Let that just kind of coat that or fry that up there so that it's nice and crispy. And this will not take long because it's already got the same color, you know, that we want it to be. This is just to crisp it up. Same technique is used when you're doing fries, homemade fries. If you want crispy fries, it basically takes 3 times of frying them to do it. The first one gets the water out of it, the second one gets the rest of the water out of them, and the third time frying them really crisps them up. And so same type of idea here with the chicken. So I'm just kind of looking at that, going to bring that up because I don't want the filling to get too dark. If that isn't quite crispy enough, I'll dunk it back in there and let it crisp up while just to get it nice and crispy on the outside. So that's kind of the secret there with the fried chicken. Our syrup is coming up to a boil now. I'm just going to let it boil for a couple of minutes. And basically, we're done. I mean, how easy is that? You don't need a fancy fryer to do the chicken. You can do it right on the stove in a pan with about 3 to 4 inches of oil in it. Just be careful on the stove because oil is very flammable. You want to adjust the temperature of the oil and you stay with it the entire time. Don't ever leave hot oil or frying foods on the stove. It's just not safe. All right, we're going to keep working on this here. When we come back, we're going to finish all up this fried chicken and waffles. Are you looking for some delicious side dishes for dinner? Well, why not try Green Giant Fresh Minute Mashes? They're simple, they come in 3 different flavors for your dinner, and all you have to do is put them in the microwave, 7 minutes, pop them out, smash them in the bag, and serve them. It doesn't get any simpler than that. Welcome back, everyone, to Cooking with Chef Bryan. We're finishing up these delicious chicken and waffles, fried chicken and waffles. And I made up a very simple fruit syrup. So easy. Equal parts of frozen fruit. I used mango, water, and sugar in there. Brought it up to a boil. I've let it boil for just a couple of minutes to kind of reduce it down and thicken it more into a syrupy state so that it's ready to go. It is still really hot, so it will thicken more, a little bit more, as it cools down. So our waffles all ready here. Let's take some of our fried chicken. And I want you to hear, you can hear, let me lean down so you can get that mic in there. Hear that crispiness on the chicken? I don't know if you can, but it's nice and crispy because I taught you a little method on how to actually do multiple fryings on that chicken to crisp up the actual coating on the chicken. And so very simple to do. It's just like you would make French fries. Sometimes you cook it, fry it till it's cooked, and then you can dip it back into there after it's cooked and let it cool just a moment, dip it back in there to fry. And now, oh, you get the idea. I explained it to you earlier in the segment. So now we're going to take some of this yummy mango syrup. Just going to take it. I'm going to drizzle it over everything. Now, this is very American here. My Brazilian friends, probably most of South America, hate it when you mix savory and sweet together, but I think it's pretty darn good. And there you have it, a delicious chicken and waffles, homemade fried chicken, a homemade fruit syrup to go on it. Who isn't going to love this for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Head on over to cookingwithchefbryan.com. You can grab the recipe there, as well as hundreds of other recipes. And of course, you can find me on pretty much every social media. The one I do pay closest attention to is Instagram, Chef Bryan Woolley there. So if you're following me there, great. You can always send me a message, and I will reply back and try and get your questions answered. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody. I can't wait to dig in, and I can't wait for you all to try some delicious fried chicken and waffles. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. You can find all of these complete recipes on my website, cookingwithchefbryan.com.